First pick has already thrown us off course.
Yup.
Damn it.
Damn it. All right, so Rumble going to be the first pick here. No tank was banned either, but Ultra Prime, because, you know, Scion and Ornn are still available, don't feel the immediate need to jump onto things such as the Scion, the Galio, to try and counter that Rumble right away. So they're instead going to lock up a mid-jungle duo. This is probably going to be the main focus that we see. We kind of did talk about Saber, and we talked about Climber, and then Haichao as well, who will be giving himself the Taliyah. We're just firing through these picks, rapid-fire style, Mark.
Already, you have very important jungle mid combos from both teams, right?
Yep.
This Jarvan wants to make plays. The Ryze can back it up with Realm Warp and Empowered Rune Prison to guarantee that the Flag and Drag will connect. But the Vi Taliyah, the return of this jungle mid duo, ever since Taliyah got a little bit of buffs on the most recent patch, just to try and help Kerber back into the mid lane champ pool. Not sure if globally it is being reflected as well across other teams, but Haichao is confident that he can throw it down with Rio at his side. Multiple support bans also thrown out with the Pyke and the Nautilus to try and curb down Moham's effective champion pool going into the second round.
Yup, so we do have 80 carries available. I think Ezreal would probably be the most logical answer, but they want to try and get something to pair up with the Jarvan Cataclysm. That Valkyrie is obviously really good to just kind of roast enemies alive. You know, it's like Rumble Ultimate from Wish, right? And you don't have Rumble Ultimate with you, so this is probably the next best thing. That does mean that OMG, unfortunately, do have access to the Yunara Lulu, right? One of the premier comps, but I would imagine Ultra Prime, you know, the Nami is available, so they'll probably just give Corki his premier duo on top of that. And if that is the case, then these are pretty stock standard drafts going into the first game here, Mark. No curveballs have really been thrown our way, but I am excited to see what Haichao can do on this Taliyah, right? Because this is a champion that I think some people associate with him. Vi is obviously a really good pairing, and Taliyah just recently did get buffs, right? It was 5 damage added onto her Q at every single level, which was initially the nerf that hit Taliyah and kind of took her out of pro for a long time. So now that she's back, does not only give you that good pairing with the rest of your top side, but it also gives you that global pressure to, you know, put pressure onto the Ryze or match his Realm Warp.
It is Haichao's 5th most played in his entire career. It's also his most played this year as well.
Yep.
Makes sense for him to return to Comfort now that she has been at least somewhat buffed back into viability. And I like that you mentioned that both of these mid laners, who are going to be so important in determining the fate of their team's early game and mid game successes based on how well they can get active on the map. Both of these junglers also have some opportunity to play make alongside them, so I think that is going to be the focus for how both of these teams are structured. I think the only real difference is that one team has a tank and the other has some follow-up on the engage.
Yeah. And I also think the big difference is that Ultra Prime can jump out to an early lead pretty effectively. OMG's comp is kind of reliant on getting that level 6 and making sure that those R keys are available before really going in for scrap. So this does give a timer to Ultra Prime beforehand, and particularly Climber, who we have kind of highlighted to do something crazy early. But this is the last series between these two teams. Mark, let's see how they end this split off.
Aggressive level 1 trading. Not sure if any Gyos are going to be coming in. And already, VODS and Moham trying to establish lane dominance. Multiple summoner spells were burned, as they do in these level 1 scenarios. And like you said, Quax, because Ultra Prime have champions that can get active before that level 6, looking at you, Jarvan, it's a lot easier for him to jump onto a bot lane that has had their health bars damaged. However, it's XiaoXia and Hena that have to withstand the storm, but Hena turns on the heat.
No barrier.
The guns and flash forward. First blood will go over to Hena's Corki, and Moham is forced to retreat.
Yup, they use those barriers immediately once they enter the laning phase, so VODS just walks up a little too far. Hena, with the passive and just the true damage autos, is able to whittle him down and get himself first blood. So early lead coming out here for the Ultra Prime Corki. This is what we said we wanted to see from the composition. Early game scrapping and just being proactive as soon as possible. And Hena and XiaoXia have accomplished that now.
Already setting up Climber potentially for success because there is no flash, as you called it, on VODS Yunara. It's a lot easier to flag and drag onto that target, especially since the only mobility VODS can get now is to wait until level 6 so that they can get that empowered E to dash. And both junglers clearing to this bottom side of the map. Hena already getting their base in, has a tier and a dagger, so not necessarily a start that is gonna be awe-inspiring in terms of raw damage, but you'll at least get that more mana accelerated.
And also, with the extra dagger, could maybe give Ultra Prime an advantage, at least in the push. They've returned to lane, and you can see both junglers are about to finish their full clears. Jarvan, obviously, a little bit faster than the Vi, so this probably means Climber just goes to that bot side crab. He'll have the push in bot, and just have, I think, the stronger bot lane overall because of that first blood gold. So yeah, good start for Ultra Prime here, just to make sure this Jarvan is having a good early game, and this Vi is going to be forced to cross-map.
It looked like Haichao was leaning towards bot side, and I thought for a second that maybe OMG were going to try to flip it even harder, but they're going to take the safe route, try not to put their bot lane further behind since they already have a deficit from the early level 1. It looks like they're way too healthy to be dove, but Climber's still going to try and force it here. Haichao's trying to respond to bail out his bot lane. How will they start this one out? Looks like XiaoXia's taking up the turret aggro, and Climber and Hena are able to get it done, but Haichao's collapse allows him to clean up the pieces, and Climber's forced to flash over the seismic shove.
Yup, he is going to be able to get away, so Climber lives to tell the tale, but Hena and XiaoXia both falling there. VODS does go down, and will, you know, stifle this Yunara's game, but also will accelerate this Talia's, right? That roam coming out from Haichao. Definitely really glad that that worked out for him, because if he didn't end up getting those kills, if he wasn't fast enough to respond to that dive from Ultra Prime, you could see in the mid lane, he kind of sacked like a wave and a half. Saber managed to get a reset, so that is going to put Rise at a temporary item advantage, getting himself a tier alongside his AD carry. So very, very fortunate and very, very good that that kill ended up going to the Talia and making that roam worth it at the end of the day.
We'll see how much Saber can punish off that, because this next wave coming in is not a cannon minion wave, so... And even with home guard boots, Haichao does not have TP. He used Ghost to be able to get to that bot lane for the collapse. Looks like at the end of the day, Haichao is not going to be missing all too much here. So as you pointed out, it's a worthy sacrifice for being able to bail out his bot lane for a little bit. Hery, though, forced to flash.
Yup. Oh, Moham might be dead.
Snagged by a bubble. Keeps his distance. He's totally fine for now. Rio's in the area, so is Climber. Rio, does he want to commit to the ward? He finally gets it. Climber doesn't have the flag and drag until that Q comes back off cooldown, but they will be able to snuff out the control ward and deny vision from OMG once again.
And that bot side crab is going to be really important, because Rio and Climber should both hit level 6 once they get that. So you can see that Rio is actually going to go for a reset and try and match Climber in the item department. He's going to grab himself a tunneler, because previously he just had a longsword and ruby crystal. So if there is any jockeying around that, you want to make sure that your fists are up and you're ready to scrap. As yeah, Climber completes the Krugs, and this would be level 6 for anyone who gets it. Like we said, OMG are really reliant on their ultimates, so Rio would be able to make a play if he did get this.
This is going to come down to a 4-on-4 in the bot side river.
I love
Rio's
it.
the first one there. Haichao able to at least damage Climber a little bit. 1600 on the crab. The seismic shove is a whiff. Who got the level 6? It's Climber.
Got it.
Bail! Run for your lives, OMG, because Climber just throws down the Cataclysm and instantly burns the flash off of Haichao.
Yeah, he forces OMG to scatter, and I'm actually surprised Ultra Prime don't immediately start up the dragon there. You've got push in mid, you've got push in bot, you've also got just a sums advantage. Rio's going to be relegated to the top side if he wants to get level 6, so Vi without that ultimate, not going to be the best in fights, but instead of going for Drake, they're just going to return to their own top sides and continue farming just to build up that strength a little bit.
The tension dies a little bit down here, Quax. I was ready for an all-out bloodbath, but everyone backed off so quickly once it dissipated. Grubs are not spawning for another minute and 5 seconds here. Haichao without flash. He has to keep conscious and wary anytime Climber is in the area once again. 30 seconds from now when that Cataclysm is up and available again, because otherwise he is a sitting duck to those two.
And I feel like OMG's ability to fight around this top side is going to be limited for a little bit, right? Because you take a look at the inventories of the OMG solo laners, and they're just prioritizing getting those empowered boots. We see the steel caps come through from Hery to, you know, give him a little bit more lane equilibrium against the Cassante, and then the Ionian boots for Haichao. So you're sacrificing that utility and just a little bit of defense, and you're basically not building any kind of damage. So unless you've got some damage for your solo laners, I feel like it's very difficult for Rio to look for 3v3. So instead, he's going to focus on the bot lane, where Fodic, even though he is behind, at least can do more damage if a fight does end up breaking out.
Just protecting Fodic so that they can get that wave shoved in. Thinking about doing a dragon start now, despite Grub spawning in a second. I'm assuming OMG are guessing that Climber wanted to be pathing towards the top side anyway for Grubs on spawn. But once Climber shows himself on this ward, OMG are going to have to reconsider on whether they commit to this dragon or not.
Has to be careful of the polymorph, by the way. Could be the difference from the smite fight.
Haichao with a nice wall will separate them, and a good Vault Breaker interrupt on the Saber with no Realm Warp available. Climber tries to lock down Haichao, knowing that he doesn't have flash available. Fodic is firing on all cylinders, but he just doesn't do any damage this far behind. Ultra Prime wipe Haichao off the rift, and Rio's forced to retreat once again.
Yeah, Rio's got to run away. I was getting really worried. I thought that Saber was going to get initially engaged onto, but Rio doesn't really turn his attention along with his mid laner over to the Rise, so it ends up being a 1-for-0 in favor of Ultra Prime. Now Climber is on the top side of the map with push from Sasa on the Cassante. So I think he should be able to start up this objective and at the very least equalize the neutral count, because OMG got that dragon.
Ultra Prime slowly starting to pull ahead in gold now. And the things that you mentioned earlier where Ultra Prime have earlier windows to be able to get proactive on the map. Even though OMG have access to these level 6 ultimates, they haven't been able to use them for anything proactive, forcing it on Ultra Prime side. It's been reactive. It's been trying to bail out certain members or defensive maneuvers. And if those are your reactions in this game, I think Ultra Prime are going to be in a great spot with the more confident look that they've shown us in the first 9 minutes of this first game.
And I guess another concern that kind of popped up from that most recent dragon fight was the ultimates are obviously, you know, not being super efficient from OMG in the fights, but also Rio is really your only source of engage, right? Like, he's going to need his teammates to back him up when he goes in, and we kind of saw a lack of that in the most recent scuffle around this bot side river. Rio just kind of left out to dry. And then it's because of that that Haichao ended up going down. Speaking of the bot side of the map, Rio is currently being invaded on his Gromp.
Sundered Sky already picked up by Climber. He feels very strong, but cannot get supported on the invade for much longer. Since both of his side lanes need to make sure that they are farming their own waves, he just kind of wastes some time here. There is some deep vision on both the red buff and the Krug camp from OMG, but Climber has snuck around all of it. There's a pixel ward. He has no flag and drag. He's forced to use the Cataclysm. He gets polymorphed, and he splits up multiple members there. Rio, how did they pull that off? Ultra Prime thought that they had their jungler left in a cocoon, but it's Sasa with the teleport, and Hery joins alongside them, but he has to flee the scene. OMG are losing every play that they are faced with.
And again, it's just because Rio has no follow-up engage, Raafaa. He goes in for the ultimate. Climber, though, not only does he do the exact same thing, but the Corky Valkyries forward. XiaoXia drops the tidal wave. You've got so much more backup with your engage as this Jarvan, and it feels like the Vi is just kind of hung out to dry most of the time when you have these skirmishes. So we're starting to see the difficulty of Rio's gameplay come through just because no one else is really able to follow up with him on his picks. And yeah, like you said, Ultra Prime now with a 2.3k gold lead, not even 12 minutes into the game. This is one of the most solid early game leads they have jumped out to over the course of the split.
Dropped a couple deaths, but they have been for the greater good so far. Hena still ahead of VODS in the laning phase, just under 1,000 gold. Saber, having picked up 2 kills for himself in these skirmishes, has been able to finish his Rod of Ages and his tier 2 boots and his mid lane quest as well. I'm expecting to see more proactivity from Climber and Saber now that these guys are kind of already online.
Yeah, Saber is going to hit a really big breakpoint. Like you said, quest complete, and then once he gets that level 2 ultimate as well, the Realm Warp range is extended pretty significantly. He'll start to be able to actually make these side lane plays over toward top, over toward bot lane, punishing some of those flashless targets. VODS flash is currently 3/4 off of cooldown, so I imagine that should be up by the time Saber hits level 11, or at the very least, Saber won't be able to find a window to capitalize off of that, I wouldn't think, but does definitely give Ultra Prime a little bit of that global pressure, and we were talking about that in the sense that Climber is really good at being able to activate that with picks like the Pantheon and the Nocturne, but we're going to have to see Saber kind of do a similar thing, display a similar trait that has given Ultra Prime a lot of the fight over the course of Split 2, as Rio is waiting in the wings, but Climber is in the area. Ultra Prime are significantly stronger in the 3v3.
You can see that OMG are recognizing they have to start looking for proactive plays rather than defensive reactions to Ultra Prime, but Climber's matching Rio wherever he goes.
Yeah.
The second dragon already being hit by Ultra Prime, and OMG are thinking about trying to look for a collapse here, but it's already gone.
Yep, Hena is just gonna Valkyrie backwards. Climber's actually going in.
Doesn't pop the Cataclysm. Realm Warp from Saber allows him to join the fray, but OMG back off in time.
Yep. No skirmishing gonna come through here, but Ultra Prime do get themselves a dragon. Rio, I think, is just waiting for the crab at this point. Really wants to stick around the bot side to see if he can try to get something, but now, I mean, we've got these quests being completed from multiple different members on Ultra Prime, so they're going to start jumbling up the lane assignments. Really, it's not going to be easy to pick off Hena and XiaoXia on a side lane anymore, because now, Mark, they have traversed to the wonderful world of mid.
And look at the vision that's already being set up by Ultra Prime to defend this mid lane anytime that they try and extend and push and siege onto the mid lane tower. Seems like the only way that OMG could look for a gank or a collapse has to be through the bottom side of the map, because there's like, what, 2-3 control wards all protecting this top river entrance from jungle. It would be nearly impossible to attack from red side.
And Ultra Prime now, because they're stronger, and they've also got Saber up toward this top side. Ooh,
VODS trying to go crazy on the Hena. He flashes over the tidal wave, but he
got bubbled.
Flash the bubble. The wild growth provides him a little bit of health bar, but Sauce is here for the collapse and just gets absolutely spaced by Hena and XiaoXia, pulled in between, and OMG's AD carry falls.
And the tower shot is the thing that finishes him off there, Mark. That is just adding insult to injury right there. Ultra Prime, because of that now, and because, frankly, they had better control of the solo lanes, they're going to get themselves the Herald, so this should give them, at the very least, if they want to save it until this dragon in about 3 minutes, access into that bot side river to pull OMG away from that contention in a few minutes, but they also could look for another pick here. Speaking of picks, Saber might be the target from Rio. He's been looking for so many plays. This Vi has just been desperate to try and make something happen, Mark, but nothing is really coming of it.
Just really good discipline from Ultra Prime this game. They recognize that wherever Climber is on the map, whoever's on the opposite side, do not give themselves away. Do not let there be a potential play happen. Even if they do not know for certainty where Rio is, don't even let that opportunity be available, as now they are just waiting for next objectives to spawn here. Obviously, they didn't get the first dragon of the game. That one was secured by OMG, but when we look at the scaling on this side, it's not something that we got a chance to really talk through, but OMG really wanted to spike on this mid game because the only scaling that you really get out of this composition is through Yunara as like a late game insurance policy, but there's no real front line that stands in between her and the rest of Ultra Prime's onslaught.
You're absolutely right about that, Mark, and I think that Fodic, we talk about him as a scaling threat, but look at how far behind he is. I mean, he is... Oh, driver climber? Okay.
He waited for the wall to go down, and Rio can't even punish him. He has to flash the bubble. He gets locked into the baby cage, gets the nice Vulse Breaker to at least escape it, and the Wild Growth to provide that safety. But once again, Quax, it has just been a massive jungle kingdom by Climber in this game 1.
Yeah, Climber was, you know, he was stopping at the red light. The wall was the stop sign. And he's like, all right, I'll wait. I'll yield a little bit. You know, unlike my top laner, K'Sante will not yield, as Saber is now looking for a 1v1 against Haichao.
Both mid laners popped their ghost there, and Saber was starting to feel the pressure a bit. Had to respect the space that Haichao was taking up with all the rocks being pelted his way. But Saber knows that his time to shine is not just yet. Seraph's Embrace is just a few hundred gold away. And then, Quax.
No, it's here.
We're gonna... Oh, he's got... All right, well, it's time to see some real pod racing on the Rift.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to see some pod racing in about 25 seconds. Dragon coming up here would be the second for the team that claims it, but... I mean, just looking at the gold difference at 3K, basically at 18.5 minutes, Ultra Prime should be heavily favored if a fight does break out, which I would advise against if I was OMG. Second Dragon is not the end of the world, and like we said, you do have the scaling threats. If you can start looking for side lane plays and overloading on some of these areas of the map to give Fodic some gold, then I think your chances of being able to fight these future dragons does go up. But OMG just haven't really been proactive with trying to move the Yunara around the map, because like you said earlier, Mark, that is your late game insurance policy. If that is not ahead, you don't really have firepower going past 20 minutes.
And the only two times that Salsa and Hery have been involved in this game is just to kind of match each other. Oh, Climber was snagged on the rocks there. Rio face checks him, goes for the cease and desist. But Haichao wasn't necessarily in range to look for the full combo. It turns out
Saber?
to be a 1-for-1, but Saber's flashing over, and he wants to avenge his fallen jungler. But Haichao flashes away. Hery ports in, but doesn't have any CC to stop the Realm Ward from going off, so Saber's now fine. Salsa goes forward, forced to flash away from the red carpet. Doesn't want to get burned on those coals there, and OMG stand their ground for now and at least trade 1-for-1.
Little bit of a scuffed sequence coming out there from both teams after Saber flashed over the wall to try and look for a second kill onto Haichao. So some flashes do end up getting burned, as we are going to get a replay. So I'm actually quite surprised that Climber lived as long as he did. I figured once he gets ulted there, like for the first time it feels like in this game, OMG have suitable follow-up to the Vi's engage. Rio does go down though as a result, which was something that I, you know, was kind of thinking wasn't going to be the case. I was kind of hoping that OMG would get a pick, would get a play that finally went their way, but it ends up being basically net neutral.
Yeah, in that moment, I was a little in disbelief that that was the time to pop the cease and desist, since we just saw Haichao burn his full combo already and it was on CD, and they were just hoping that, well, Fodic is going to be enough. Rio punching this guy in the face is going to be enough, and at least Haichao is able to weave in one last rock to the dome. But Ultra Prime are still ahead by 2.5 thousand gold. Haichao flashes the flag and drag, polymorph, and the unraveled earth stun. Seismic shove wasn't even seen, but it flicked two of them backwards.
Oh
but
no,
Fodic,
wait!
He's going to get bailed out! Moham will keep his AD carry alive. OMG take out Climber, and Saber without a flash has to be careful about stepping up, especially when Rio still has the cease and desist available. OMG starting to pull ahead, and the gold lead is starting to diminish.
I went through like 3 different we're so backslash it's so over cycles in the course of about 5 seconds there, Mark. I was worried for Fodic, then I was fine with it, then I was worried for him again, and then he ends up getting a little bit of gold. Doesn't end up getting the kill, That is going to go over to Haichao. So now 3 kills worth of gold are given over to this Talia. And we highlighted this player. We said that this is a comfort pick for him. So he's the one that really has to kind of put OMG over the finish line. He is the hope for this team to kind of surmount this 1K gold lead that Ultra Prime have up over OMG right now, which, to OMG's credit, is less than what it was like 5 minutes ago.
Is it enough for OMG to clap back? That is the question.
The $1 million one, absolutely. And my question right now is, what is Ultra Prime's setup going to look like? You can see now that because they've got just so much more turret takeage, I guess that's not a word, because they've basically gotten the tier 1s in mid and bot, they're just able to kind of extend their vision line and go up further around this bot side jungle, which will be really good for them when it comes to setting up for these future dragons. And OMG, it's really difficult to imagine a world where they can kind of respond to that. Haichao does now have 2 items, but like we said, Rio just still hasn't really felt like we get suitable follow-up from the engages provided by Vi. So that is going to be, in my opinion, the big challenge for OMG if they do decide to, you know, contest this dragon, or if they want to try and jockey for some space around this bot side.
Yeah. Is it worth to give up another dragon to potentially get Fodic to his 3rd item of the game? Or can OMG find a solid pick before this dragon spawns in 20 seconds? Ultra Prime, the control that they have in this blue side quadrant is terrifying. There's only one control ward that gives OMG any vision, and Climber doesn't know! He didn't know that there is a ward right on top of that bunch, and they snap him up! OMG are able to delete the jungler, and now it's an immediate 5-on-4 advantage.
Climber, he just walks up too far, and now OMG, they've started up the dragon. Rio, though, critically, has no ultimate. If OMG want to start up a fight, who is going to be the person to walk up and do it?
There's no main engage from OMG anymore, but Hery will throw down the red carpet to at least force them off. Fodic getting Omega chunked right now. Rio secures the dragon, makes it 2 for 2 in this game.
Rio missed.
The Q3 flash over the wall finds Hery, and the rest of Ultra Prime want to surge on forward. The Realm War brings them closer. The rest of OMG trying to flash out. Saber steps up and knocks down 2 like bowling pins, and he's ready to look for a penna, but Haichao and Rio won't give him the grace. Ultra Prime keep their lead.
It was a loss of the jungler, but Saber steps up. Realm Warp covers the gap, gets them onto the remaining members of OMG, and it's a double now, 5-0-1 for the Rise. Saber is 1.5k gold ahead, and we said Haichao needed to be the savior. But this guy is so far behind compared to his counterpart. He has a tall task ahead of him if he wants to try and get past the mid laner of Ultra Prime.
The Ultra Prime mid lane academy prospect coming on to this roster after his time in 2024 with Ultra Prime Academy.
Yup.
He has been the longest tenured mid laner for this org in their history, and he is currently the longest tenured member on this roster, and he is the one that saves the game from falling into despair.
Just looking at the replay here, yeah, Climber looking to just, with the mid push, get more space and kind of cut that area of the jungle off for OMG, but Rio is right there. So he manages to, you know, capitalize off of that. I am interested to see kind of how Saber was moving up to the point of the Realm Warp, because Rio misses the Vault Breaker here. Saber just backs on out. Sauce's engage, I think, gives him the space necessary. And yeah, just good spacing from the Rise to make sure that his health bar is okay when he eventually does go for this very bold and aggressive Realm Warp. Because now Ultra Prime have the Baron, and now it's OMG's time to maybe look a little bit desperate. Rio with a flank.
Was that a rocket build I just saw from Saber being able to ruin Prison Rio right in his face? And OMG are caught by surprise, and they are now completely discombobulated. Hery gonna get snatched up by Sasa. The Q3 will tag him and launch him back, but Hena gets blown up by Haichao and Hery before he falls. OMG trying to make their stand onto this tier 2 tower. Ultra Prime will continue to push with their Baron buff.
Yeah, but they've got multiple different lanes that are pushing here. Raafaa, look at the map. I mean, they've got mid wave, they've got bot wave. They can easily just spread themselves out and look for a lot of that standing gold on the map. So OMG are going to kind of clean up the mess that was made on top side. But off of the redeploys, Ultra Prime, still with the Baron buff, should have the ability to, you know, claim the tier 2, particularly in that bot lane, which will just further set them up for this dragon in a little less than 2 minutes. As we can see this L3, this lower third coming down here. So Saber, like you said, an academy player from Ultra Prime. You know who else is an Ultra Prime prospect that is also in this series, Mr. Mark? Hery was an Ultra Primer for a quite some time. And is now up against his former organization. So it's kind of cool just to see two players from a similar background now on opposite teams. That's always fun to kind of poke at.
History has a funny way of showing itself, especially in some of the most significant moments of current day. Rio trying to live on this current day. He at least snags his own red buff and makes a quick getaway without even having to burn his own flash. But Ultra Prime with a 4,500 gold advantage at 28 minutes. Waiting for the next dragon to spawn. The Baron buff has expired. Good sweeper by Rio. Detects a presence in that bush and says, maybe I shouldn't face check it.
Yup. And Ultra Prime critically weren't able to claim that tier 2 on bot. They still have control over this bot side and, you know, should be able to claim this dragon in about 30 seconds, but not really moving the needle forward as much as you would like when you have the Baron buff. Could maybe give OMG an opportunity to kind of, you know, gather their thoughts and give some resources, give some side lane farm over to some members. You can see Hery critically is pushing on that top side. So the Rumble, who has been really the only member of OMG who has had a gold lead over his counterpart consistently throughout this game, Mark, he's going to get a little bit more farm to himself. And we are starting to hit some breakpoints for OMG. We do have the 3-item spike for the Yunara, so Ultra Prime keeping this Dragon Soul win con alive is very important, as I think it's going to be harder to get that dragon the longer this game goes on, even though OMG are currently behind 4K.
As we mentioned, the difficulties with this OMG composition from before, if they do not immediately force that pick with their ultimates onto the one target and get that numbers advantage, unfortunately, this team struggles with a lack of a real front line. So OMG are doing their due diligence in setting up some vision on this bot side of the map and trying to find a pocket where Ultra Prime get complacent, maybe a little careless in the way they traverse. There's a teleport coming in from Sasa.
They saw it.
Well, they know he's there.
Yeah, it's like that guy trying to hide behind the really skinny tree, right?
Yeah.
With the caption of like, who does bro think he's hiding from? That was Sasa. We know you're there, man. Sasa with a telegraphed TP does actually give Hery the opportunity to push in this bot wave. He's not going to fully commit to the turret just because they don't have a ton of information on where all the other members of Ultra Prime currently are, but we'll still be able to knock that one down. So he's actually going to stay around. So OMG are really just trying to look for any kind of resources and gold they can get in the lanes right now, because I think they understand the gravity of the situation that they're in, where if they go for a straight up 5v5, they're going to get kind of swept. They're going to get no diffed. If you're a power scaling fan, you'll understand that lingo. And now I think Ultra Prime very easily can force that issue. Baron is up, and they have more control over this top side.
Ultra Prime making sure that they are staying protected on this top side with their vision control. OMG are going to have to retake the space at some point. I still can't believe Saber has a rocket belt as Rise. What?
He's actualizing now too, so that's a pretty big spike for the champion.
Yep. 4-item Rise. Nearly a full item over Haichao's Taliyah. Saber has been putting in work this game, making sure that his team prevents themselves from being anti-clutch, as Hery and the Ultra Prime Superfan has described them being historically.
Yep.
But this would be the time where a 2-0 victory from Ultra Prime puts them in the best case scenario possible for keeping their LPL season alive, as Ultra Prime now start up the Baron.
Yeah, and critically, Climber did get picked off on that last fight. Now he's going to be looking for an engage because he has that GA.
Flash Cataclysm, trades Flash. Oh, but it's Saber that finds Moham all isolated and alone. Saber burns both of his summoner spells, but that is a 5-on-4 advantage, and they will return to the Baron to try again.
Yeah, it's flashes and summoners burned. Yeah, it's flashes and ult burned here for the mid jungle of Ultra Prime, but they've still got plenty of firepower as Haichao very quickly learns.
Hena dumps a full rocket load onto Haichao's health bar there. He is forced to retreat, and OMG might just have to concede this one unless Rio wants to look for a miracle.
Yeah, Rio is going to have to pray for a miracle here. He's looking to try and wrap around, but XiaoXia's kind of bodyguarding him away from Baron. So OMG going to miss out on the Baron steal attempt, and now Ultra Prime, all 5 members going to be repping purple right now. And Mark, dragging up in about a minute. Ultra Prime should be able to get onto the map in mid and bot and clear out some of the vision that OMG have scarcely laid on that bot side river. You can see a couple of wards around there, as well as the crab. So they are not completely devoid of information on that side of the map, but Ultra Prime should just be able to walk in and clear all of that out. They should be able to set up for this objective, and OMG more than likely going to be the ones walking into the dark to try and prevent this soul from going over.
Yeah, massive wave that Ultra Prime are shoving through mid, and then being able to escort themselves through the blue side jungle, and they have fully taken over once again. There is hardly any real vision for OMG in this bottom side, apart from the Scuttle Crab and one lone stray ward that did not get scouted by that control ward in the river.
Yeah, it's like the rats at Gusto's. As VODS is just gonna get stomped.
Flashes out of the Cataclysm. Climber wants to continue the chase. Looks for VODS. One more auto attack would be able to do it, but both GAs on the junglers are going to get popped. But Rio's the first one to fall, and Climber escapes danger. OMG lose their jungler once again at the most critical point of the game because Cloud Soul is up and available.
And I love how confident Climber is playing up because he has that GA. He is willing to go all the way into OMG's turret just to look for a pick onto Rio. They find the jungler. Dragon is a foregone conclusion, and Ultra Prime should be looking to top this game off with one more fight win, I would imagine, Mark.
Hardly any mistakes from this Ultra Prime roster in this game one. There was definitely a few speed bumps and a couple of moments where OMG almost took away control, but Saber 6-0-4 on this Rise ensured that any engage that Climber had, or even when Climber was not available, he stepped up and he clutched up for Ultra Prime to make game one victory. At this point, a reality.
Yeah. And now Saber, I mean, over 10 CS per minute, basically full build. This man is, along with the Cloud Soul, so he's going to be moving extremely fast. You know, we have Phase Rush at home, basically. Is what I'm trying to say. Rip Phase Rush. As, yeah, Ultra Prime with a relatively clean game so far here, Mark. I mean, a lot of credit as, hang on, Sasa
might be in trouble. Sauce is dead. Saber just realm warped in, but he has an access
Holy
pass
moly.
to Moham, and they just delete him. Oh my goodness, are there any buttons being pressed? It's just one button after another. That Ultra Prime have so much damage on their side, and OMG's champions just had no chance in this collapse. Hery goes golden only just for a moment, and now Rio finds himself the last man standing against his crumbling base, and Ultra Prime are ready to take this game 1 victory in steady fashion.
Yeah, he's trying to cut down the wave, but he's going to be the one getting cut down along with the rest of his team. OMG, try as they might, cannot stand up to Ultra Prime in game number 1, where there's thunder, there's lightning, and Ultra Prime have just shocked OMG in the face.
Ultra Prime believers feeling pretty good about their chances. It is just game 1, and as Ultra Prime superfan Harian did mention, that you need to make sure that if you want an Ultra Prime victory to occur here, then gotta stay calm. Gotta let the results play out first, because there have been many times in history where something unfortunate does happen, and things, the Nocturnal incident happens. We think back to 2025 when they almost had a shot into making it a group ascend, but they lose. I think it was against, was it WE?
I think you're probably right.
I would have to look that back up. But I remember just going through some of the moments in history of Ultra Prime barely missing out on what could have been a winning break for them, and it's just being shy of that. But obviously, Ultra Prime themselves don't want to repeat the bad side of history. They want to be on the winning side of history for once in a change. And OMG, like I said, unfortunately, these guys do not have real stakes in being able to win this series other than for pride, and also trying to promote themselves as best they can for any Group Nirvana teams, or hell, a Group Ascend team if they're that desperate to look down and be like, hey, who is available? Who is a free agent going into Split 3? And if they need to change things around, they might be able to. But that was a heavy slacking from Ultra Prime, and despite the couple times that Climber did get caught out, he completely outplayed Rio in the early jungle pathing and matched him on pretty much every single play he tried to look for.
Yeah, I really like how Climber played this game, because he understood that, hey, I mean, I'm a better champion than Vi pre-level 6, so that's really when I'm going to try and press my advantage. And then every point after level 6, Climber wasn't necessarily, perma going in. He wasn't being that gung-ho, but he was consistently denying Rio opportunities to kind of, bounce the game back in favor of OMG. Was really good at being able to monitor where Vi was at all times and prevent those plays from coming through. So credit to Climber for being able to have that proactivity, but also that reactivity that really denied the Vi from being able to have a good game to try and get OMG into a better position. But, I mean, the main beneficiary of a lot of that pressure that Climber put on, we said it in the draft, that this is how it usually plays out, Raafaa, is that Saber was an absolute menace in this game. We talked about how Haichao was on a comfort pick of a Taliyah, how he had 3 kills, but no matter how many compliments we gave over to the side of OMG's mid laner, Ultra Prime's mid laner was always several steps ahead and was constantly making more plays on the map compared to the Taliyah.
It was only really one time where Haichao got the jump on Saber and the rest of Ultra Prime, but ever since then, Saber was like, yeah, but have you considered that I'm him?
Yeah.
I'm better. This for me kind of sealed the game 1 victory in Ultra Prime's eyes, when Saber feels confident enough to flash forward in that scenario, knowing that he has time. I mean, when we came back to live after a replay and I see a rocket belt animation go off on Rise, I'm just losing it in my mind. and just thinking, wow, we are building Rocket Belt on Rise. We're at that point in 2026, Gavin.
Yeah,
Just
Rocket
crazy.
Belt is just the mid lane item. And it's really cool. We've kind of referenced back to the Hery document multiple times over this broadcast so far, which is really amazing. But Hery on their section about Saber, because they put in like a little blurb about all of the current players of Ultra Prime, saved Saber for last because this is their favorite player, essentially. And what it came down to was they are seeing noticeable improvement from this guy, and he actually has like a lot of promise. So I think that's super cool to kind of see that promise delivered in game number 1. And I would absolutely, Mark, be the guy that votes him MVP. Listen, you could make an argument for Climber, but when the junglers are saying the mid laner should be MVP, I think that's when the mid laner should be MVP.
Yeah, there's usually too much jungle bias from us. And boom, the broadcast recognizes it. Saber picks up his second MVP of the split on the champion that he has the most games on in his entire career.
Yeah.
Very, very well done to Saber. And now we'll get to see if Ultra Prime can continue this momentum going forward. And for the Ultra Prime believers, just put in one more W in that column, and Ultra Prime will have done everything that they can to save their season from missing out on a split 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just about winning the series, Mark, right? You have to do it 2-0, because if you win the series, even if it's 2-1, your season's over. So the stakes and the ramifications of Game 2's results will quite literally make or break Ultra Prime's chances of being able to participate in split number 3. Just a lot of pressure being put onto them. But if Game 1 was any indication, these guys are playing loose, they're playing fast, and they are playing ready to match up against OMG.
Yeah. Well, Game 1 wrapped up in the books. We're going to toss it to a break, but before we do, we want to remind everyone that if you would like to support LPL English, consider becoming a coffee member, because coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, since the vast majority of your contributions will go directly to the show. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and content creators. Subscribe to our coffee, linked in the chat, to unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews. More Group Nirvana action between OMG and Ultra Prime